Hi, it's Jerry with I Love RV Life. I'm doing some travel planning. I'd like to give you some tips on how you can use your PC, your phone, or maybe a tablet on making your trip easier and definitely more enjoyable. Well, hi, it's Jerry, and I am doing some travel planning. Joan and I are getting ready to go up north and enjoy the fall leaves and Oktoberfest and all those things that go with that. And we used to be big Garmin users and TomTom users. I was a corporate traveler for a very, very long time and used those devices all the time to point destination A, B, or C. And as I was flying into other cities, I would use those GPS devices to be able to find locations that I didn't have a clue where they were at. And we tried to use those for about the first year or so when we started RV travel. Now, I will say this, the devices always got us to the destination. We may not like how we got there. And I think regardless of whether you're using something like Google Maps or many of the applications you find online, or whether you're using one of these GPS devices, everybody has that story, right? That you took the wrong road and ended up in a place you didn't want to be. In a car, or in something that's small, maybe a small Class B or a small Class C, that is not a big issue because you can always find a driveway or find some way that you can turn around relatively easy. If you're in a big rig, a big Class A or even a big Class C, or if you're like Joan and I, we've got a 40-foot fifth wheel, 56 feet with the truck pulling it, and you make a wrong turn, it can just ruin your trip because you might end up in some location that you just can't back up, or it's just easy to be able to maneuver. I must tell you, that has happened. I must admit, it's happened more than once, and I will definitely tell you, it was miserable. It was just an awful, awful experience. So from that, we started trying to do some things to make sure that we could lay out the maps better. So a couple tips here. First of all, we tried to use the Garmin. I'd been a Garmin user for years and years and years, and Garmin has a piece of software called Basecamp. And Basecamp allows you to go out on your laptop and map out your destination the way you want to go, and then plug that into your Garmin to go down the road. But I will admit this, as much as I want to use Basecamp, it is just an unruly piece of software. So if Garmin hears this, I want to come back to Garmin and I want to be able to use Basecamp. But it's just not a friendly piece of software, and it's very hard to manipulate. One of the reasons being that it's hard is if you're trying to set from destination A to destination B, sometimes the way these GPSs or even Google Maps wants to be able to take you to that location, maybe based on the fastest route or whatever algorithms they're using. But you may know that there's construction along the way, or you want to avoid maybe high traffic in a specific area. So what these devices do is allow you to set waypoints. And the way you would set a waypoint is, I know that there's a convenience store or an apartment or a tire store or some kind of a business that's right next to this exit, and you can literally dot your route into a way that you want to be able to go and bypass these trouble areas. Those are called waypoints. Or set a rest area that you want to go to. That's a waypoint. Google allows you to do the same thing. The downside with Google is if I'm sitting at my laptop and I put my map in without waypoints, when I send it to my phone or my tablet, it will reroute based on what it thinks best. But if I put in waypoints, it forces Google to take those routes. So here's what my plans are today. I'm going to show you how to use Google Maps. Google Maps from a PC. The reason I'm doing that is you've got a lot more flexibility to be able to move and set waypoints with a PC versus using a tablet or a phone. It's much simpler. Then take that final map and take that link and email it to your phone or email it to your tablet, however you want to be able to do it. The nice thing about setting waypoints is Google cannot reroute and take those waypoints out and try to shorten your route or take you somewhere where you don't want to go. It makes Google Maps amazing to use. You force it and bend it to your will and your desires, and you don't have to follow their algorithms on how you want to be able to go. Second to that, even though you're going down the road and you're using your phone with Google, it will still show you if you're getting into a particular area where there's been bad traffic, if you're headed toward a big city, and you're getting that real-time traffic information that makes it so very, very nice. But again, waypoints. Then we have several other apps that we use that we keep online or available in the background that makes travel much, much easier for rest stops and for gas stations, etc., etc. And music, you got to have your tunes, so we use that as well. So I hope you find this very interesting, and let me show you by starting with the Google Map application on my PC, and then we'll carry that forward, and then I'll take you out into the truck and show you how we use it inside the truck before we start our destination. So stay with me. I think this is going to be very educational, and you probably want to get you a sheet of paper and make some notes because it is pretty detailed. But I think once you use this once or twice, you'll absolutely love it from this point forward, and I think it'll be difficult for you to go back to something like a Garmin or a TomTom or some other type of GPS device. I know for me, I don't want to go. So let's head to the laptop and let me show you how we do this, okay? So we're going to start off opening up my Chrome browser, and I'm going to put in Google Maps. And as I shared earlier, I'm going to bend Google Maps to my will, very similar to what you would do with a base camp, and we talked about base camp earlier. Okay, so I am going to start here where I'm at currently in beautiful FDR State Park, located right outside of Pine Mountain, Georgia. If you've not been to this location, it's absolutely beautiful, beautiful location. Pine Mountain's a quaint little town. And of course you have Callaway Gardens over here. That's a lot of fun to go to as well. We enjoy coming over here very much. So this is going to be our start destination. I'm going to click directions. And I'm going to go ahead and move this to the top since this will be my beginning location. Now we're going to be heading up to the North Georgia mountains, and I've already been doing some research, so we're going to be staying at this campground. And we're going to be driving up on a Sunday, so we're going to be leaving early, and we're going to try to hit Atlanta probably in the 9 to 10 time frame. We've done this many times before, but I do know I do not want to drag my fifth wheel through downtown Atlanta, so we're going to be making some waypoint changes to force the map and the directions in that area. Sure, I could take this and drag it over and make it work in that fashion, but the downside is, and if you've ever attempted this before, when I'm taking this from my PC to my phone or a tablet, Google Maps will reroute. There is not a fix that I know of. I've done tons of research. I've tried to find it. I wish to goodness that Google would not reroute a saved directions, but regardless of what you put in there, it will do it. But if you set waypoints, locations along the route, and force the reroute by Google, then you will have better success with this. So I'm going to look at my map, and from my travels, I know that this Highway 27 up to 185 is the direction I want to go. It will run into I-85 up to Atlanta. And since I've traveled through Atlanta many times before, I know that I want to route around 285. And that is going to be my preference. I can take the west route or the east route around 285. And 285 is going to be the direction I think that will be a little bit closer for me to be able to use. So I want to take this bottom route in this direction. And I'm going to find me something at an exit that is close by. And I see I don't want to go up above 20 here because my fear is it will route me around 20 up in that direction. I want to force the route to go at 285 at this location pre-going to 20. Again, this would be no different than if I was to do this in something like base camp. So I'm going to go up here to an exit. And here is an exit, and here is something very, very close to that exit. And I'm going to click on that location. I'm going to highlight that address, and then I'm going to backspace and go back to my map. I'm going to add a destination, and I am going to move that destination here into the middle. So I'm leaving the park,
I'm going into that location. And if you look now, look at what has happened. Exactly what I was hoping would occur. I'm taking 85 to 285. It's showing this as a waypoint. Of course, I will not be stopping there. I will bypass that and continue on. And then it's going to take me up to 85, and that's exactly what I want to do. This will later take me up to a split to 985. And what I did is I called the campground ahead of time and said, I'm going to be taking this route up to you. What is the best way to be able to go? And they said, well, just, come through Atlanta, come up 85 to 985, and then take 129, exit 120, go 129, take this exit right here, and come up that way. That's the best way. Do not continue with what Google Maps and the Garmin will tell you and take this 52 up through Claremont that you see here. That's a very windy, narrow road, and if you've got a big rig, you won't be happy with that. So again, I'm going to find me a waypoint, and I'm not going to pick something in this direction. If you get too close, it will just do nothing more than loop you around and take you back up into this direction. We want to go up a little ways here and find something up the road, and this might be close enough. Here is this gentleman's business right here, a little ways up the road. Again, I'm going to click on it and highlight it. I'm going to backspace again. Now, this might seem like a little bit of work, and it is a tad bit of work. It's no different than any other type of planning, but it's much simpler than trying to do this in something like the Garmin Basecamp product. It's just because it's just point and click. And now I'm saying this is exactly what I want to have happen. There's my exit 24 that they told me to take, and I'll be coming up here and hitting 129, and that is going to take me directly up to the campground that will be going on. So here's the great thing about it. I have now bent or forced Google into this route. If I had done nothing more than drag these routes over, then Google will do nothing more than, when you send this to your phone, take this beginning point and this beginning point, and it would show that original route that I didn't want to go. So I've done my route planning. We're sitting at about, 5 or 6 minutes. It didn't take long. I had a phone call ahead of time to find out exactly what exit would be the best to come up here and the best road to get to the campground. I've done that. I've traveled in this area enough that, or even if I hadn't traveled in this area enough, I would talk to friends and they would say, do not go through downtown Atlanta. It's very busy. And if you're going to the east side of town, then take the connector around the east. If you're going the west side of town, take the connector around the west, such as if we were going up here and hitting 75 and going to something like Chattanooga or Nashville. That would be the way that we would go. But we're going to bypass that. Now, here's what we're going to do. I'm now going to take this and click here on this bar. I'll show that to you again, this little menu bar. And if you notice, there is a share or embed button here, and we are going to share this. Here's a link. I'm going to copy this link now, and I'm going to email it and open this up with my phone, and that will be the next thing that I'll be showing you. So here's my phone, and I'm going to be using this as my navigation device. So I'm going to open up the mail link that I have, and here is that link that I sent me. I'm going to click on that, and then this will now automatically open up my maps. It'll take just a second for the calculation to occur, and now we have it. And the interesting thing that you will see here, as we are setting this up, is there are those waypoints, and where this has been forced to go to the route that I want to travel, down the roads that I want to go to, not the ones that Google thinks is best. Now, I'll share this with you. This is mid-afternoon that I'm doing this video, and this will be another classic reason you can see the reds and so forth that I do not want to travel through Atlanta anytime other than maybe a Sunday morning or late Sunday evening. Oh my goodness, I can't imagine that. What a mess. But a good Sunday morning, it'll be basically trouble-free. But the good news is now I can go ahead and move forward with my directions, and we are ready to start traveling and heading north. And this makes a great way to be able to make your travel. Just love it. So we're out in the F-350 truck now, and I'll show you how I use the phone, and then I'm going to give you one other option that I think you're going to find very, very interesting. So let me turn the camera around, and I will show you how we actually use this inside the truck and kind of make it hands-free and easy to use. This is a device that I purchased off of Amazon. It's very, very simple. It fits virtually just about any modern cell phone that's out there. All of your current iPhones, all your current Samsungs, LGs, etc. It's really a nice little tool that you can buy and use to display your phone and give you something good to see visually. So I'll take this and just stick it in the window here. And it has a suction cup that you place on it, and then you can kind of bend it to fit whatever your specific needs are. I'm going to take my cell phone now and turn it back on, and I'm going to open up my maps and all the other things that I had, and I'm going to place it in here. And of course I will take this and plug it in and charge it, but I won't show that now. And now I can go down the road, as you can see here, and as I drive down the road, it's right at the fingertips, and of course Joan can reach over from the driver's side and she can open up any of the other types of things that we might have on there, and there's the music. She can make the music selection that she wants to be able to make, and etc., as I was showing, and then of course go back to the route that we were looking at. So this is a very, very handy, easy to use option that we just really, really enjoy using. Now let me show you one other item that I think that you'll find very, very interesting. Sometimes other than using the phone, we will use this device. This is a Samsung Tab A. I've got to share with you. This is the 8-inch model. I love it. I love it. I love it. I use it all the time. I use it inside the camper for news and YouTube and all these types of things. It's a great device. It's very, very fast. The screen resolution is just absolutely beautiful. It does not, this model, the one that I purchased, does not have a cellular modem in it, so it is Wi-Fi only, but that does not prevent us from being able to use it out on the road, and I'll show you how. But first of all, we use a slightly different device than that MOY. This one is made by Arkon, A-R-K-O-N. Again, I'll put this in the show notes. It's wonderful, provides a great holder for these tablets, and it's very firm. I've hit very, very hard bumps, and it stays in place. And it's very easy to be able to place in here. And just like, it's a larger tablet, this 8-inch tablet, compared to the phone. You can see the differences inside. Really makes looking at those maps fantastic. Well, how do we use this on the road? Well, we have a hotspot. Being that we travel so much, and I also need it for business, we have a number of different hotspots, but this is one of those. And I'll just lay it up here. I've already got it logged in for what we need. I'll go in and just show you how quickly. Here is that map that's sitting in my Gmail account, and we'll pull that guy up and give him just a second to be able to set up, and there we are. We're ready to go. You can see that looks just like it did before when we were looking at it on the phone, and we've hit our preview, and now we are ready to travel. And it's the exact same format. I'll take this guy here, I'll plug him in to get him charged, and it's the same functions that Joan was using earlier, that if she needs to be able to find us a truck stop to go into, then she can pull in up the truck stop application, and we'll literally load these before we leave so that we can have all those truck stops preloaded for us to be able to determine where we want to pull at. And then it's just simply push that little button, hit the maps again, and we're ready to go. We also have an app here that I absolutely love. It's called NavMeter. And NavMeter is fantastic that I can set speed and altitude and direction or coordinates. I use it just primarily for speed. I'm going to turn it on manually. And even though I'm not driving right now, it will run in the bottom right hand corner. You can also set altitude when you're going up in the mountains, and it's kind of fun to watch that as well. But again, we will put this up, and I have it set up to where it will be showing in that bottom right hand screen. And as I pull up the maps and as we go down the road, it's easier for me to look to my right and be able to see what our speeds are and make sure that we're going at a reasonable speed, especially if all of a sudden we pop up at a school zone or something like that. So this is a wonderful, wonderful way to be able to do this. I'll put a link in for this tablet if you're interested in getting it. It's a fantastic tablet. I think it's very reasonably priced. It's got the latest Android operating system on it, and it's sub 200s. I mean, it's right in the mid 100s. It's absolutely a fantastic device.
Well, I hope you found that informative. I know it's a little different than just punching in a coordinate inside of a Garmin and then taking off down the road, or putting it into a TomTom and taking down the road. But again, sometimes our RV travel is a little complex. We have to make some twists and turns and avoid some things that like we know might be high bridges or things like that that we want to avoid. Let me mention this. I'll also put this in the notes. We use a Rand McNally Truckers map. We just bought the 2019. Our other one was a little old. I'll put the notes on how to get that. Anytime we put a route together, we always go to that Rand McNally and look at the maps and make sure it's trucker friendly. For us, with a 40-foot fifth wheel that's 13 feet tall, I want to avoid those low bridges, and I want to make sure that, if it's safe for truckers, it's safe for us. So that's another tip that you might want to follow as well. And again, if the TomToms, the Garmins, or those types of things are working for you, fantastic. Don't stop using them. But again, if you're finding out that they're sending you in directions that you don't want to go, I always call the campground ahead of time. I'm coming up this direction. What is the best direction to go to? That way they can, prevent you from going over low underpasses or going over some kind of a crazy bridge that's too small, or making a turn through somebody's neighborhood that's just not RV friendly. I always find that works. I look at the Google Maps and then I set my waypoints to make sure that I'm going in the direction I want to go. And how handy is it to be able to have rest stops at your fingertips, or be able to have your fuel stations for your big campers so you can pull in to get fuel, or just get a bite to eat if that's what you're doing on a long trip, and a good leg stretch if that's important as well. And then having that little, what I call the nav meter down at the bottom that shows me my mileage as I'm going down the road, so I can just quickly glance over to the right, check the map, check my speed. It's just super handy. I hope these tips have been very, very informative. So thank you as always for watching I Love RV Life. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for subscribing. If you haven't, click on the subscription button here at the bottom, or at the end I'll give you some other locations that you might want to be able to look at our videos or subscribe. Go to our website. We've got tons of things, past blogs, past videos. We've got an RV Essentials page on all the interesting things that Joan and I use and purchase that make our RV travels much easier and much more enjoyable, including the things that I talked about today. So as always, I love RV life, and I hope you love RV life too.